Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the Patience is a Virtue seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which every turn, every card in our hand transforms into a random card that costs one more provision. That can make it really hard to find an effective deck in this event, which is why today we're revisiting one that performed very well in the past. So let's go give it a look. So today we'll be revisiting a Skellige Blaze of Glory deck that we were undefeated with when we tried something like this before. In general, it is just very fundamentally sound, doing all of the major things that you're trying to do in this event. No specific cards that we absolutely must play. However, we are keeping all of our options open by setting ourselves up for all of the conditional cards that only work when your starting deck is set up a specific way. So we have at least 25 units, which means that Renfrey works. We have no duplicate cards, so we can use Shoopstay off and we can use Redea. We have nothing that costs more than 9 provisions, which means Golden Nekker and Ciri Nova both work. I suppose, technically, if you do find a way to tutor these out, then these are the highest priority cards for you to get. Alternatively, as a tech card, we do have a Dire Bear in case your opponent has some way to get a whole bunch of boosts, then you get this guy out and they can no longer do that boosting. We also have Roach, and we have Best Boy as well, both of whom will help us, in particular in round 1, to get additional points on the board. Then with our leader ability, we can go one of a couple of ways. We can either choose Jutta, who at 12 base power gives us a ton of damage to destroy almost anything that our opponent plays. Alternatively, we could choose instead to go for Morkvarg, who is not worth as much damage, but when we use him, we will then get him back on the board as a 5-power unit. So basically, pure damage with Jutta, or less damage, but getting 5 points on your side of the board with Morkvarg. Then, other than that, we just have a few special cards and artifacts in case we do happen to get a Golden Nekker at some points over the course of the match. But really, that's about it. A few cards that can potentially get summoned out with Drummond Shieldmaiden and Crow Messenger if you happen to get one of those other ones randomly showing up in your hand later on and you keep these ones in your deck. But that's pretty much it. It is just a deck that allows you to keep all of your options open so that you can always play whatever the strongest card is in your hand. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and they'll go first. Okay, so we do have several cards that we would like to keep in deck here. Definitely Best Boy. And then, okay, it's going to come down to these three. We can pick one. Morkvarg is worth a little more points on our side of the board, whereas Jutta is worth a little bit more points with our leader ability. I mean, either one's going to be leader ability target, basically, that's the question. Dire Bear would have been a potential target for tutors, but we're likely just going to have to accept that he is not going to make it out. I think maybe we'll go for Morkvarg. Okay, and it's Xavier, which long-term could potentially complicate some of our combos. Shouldn't stop us from using Morkvarg here if we really wanted to. We could lead off with that. Doesn't quite destroy him, but it's close. And we could even Bjorn as well. That would definitely finish him off. It's an option. Otherwise, Malleusine Cultist, get an engine out there, point slam with the Pirate, or even Ice Giant, lock him. Guess we'll go Cultist. Not too worried about the Savior just yet. Okay, they use their stratagem. And now Theon. Okay, maybe they anticipated that I was thinking about going after Xavier. And we actually have several very interesting options here. We have some Resilience with Gabor Zigrin. Obviously, that's quite powerful, although in terms of pure points, he's not that good. Axel 3 Eyes is actually a very solid point slam if we go melee row with him. And Triss Telekinesis also potentially worth a lot of points. Though we'd have to play her in the range row, which means no one next to the Malleusine Cultist, which is a little unfortunate. Those are probably the most obvious options here. So maybe we'll go... If we don't play you, you're going to go up to a 12, and that's a little bit risky. We'll use Triss. Okay. So close. So close to being so useful here, but not quite. Alright, Gutting Slash, Assassination either way. That's pretty helpful. Oh, this suddenly makes a lot more sense. And Geralt's Axii to purify and reset the power of Theon also looks very intriguing right about now. because his base power is obviously 1, so that is a pretty big deal. And he's no longer a defender, so he's not helping to protect that row at all. We'd rather not hit the Immortals with the rain, but we can't control that. And alas, it does get hit. Okay, now it's ruined, so that's worth a lot of points. They can probably remove something here, though it's just going to be Best Boy, so not terrible. Okay, and now we could go Sir Scratch-a-Lot, which obviously we don't thrive on the board right now, but he's probably 2 points per turn, so that's still not bad. Otherwise, we don't want to be hitting Immortals, so True Reveal doesn't make a lot of sense here, and it's pretty hard to avoid doing that. Or it's more resilience, in this case a little bit less with the points we get carried over. I think it's probably still Scratch-a-Lot here. Oh, and he doesn't have the immunity, right, because he's technically not in our starting deck, so that is a little bit vulnerable at the moment. What Enslave number are they? They're 7. Okay, that's good. What are the chances of this? Okay, that is unfortunate. That is now a very big Fion, although remember, he's still not a defender anymore, so he's a big card, yes, but it's not as if we need to break through him to target all these other guys. I am very surprised to see we have both Unicorn and Chironex in our hand, our randomly generated hand at that. So, let's see. So if we go Unicorn first, we get the better damage on you. You did just play Sucrus. I think we might get rid of Sucrus here. Yes, the Savior's been a little bit annoying, but let's go this route. We'll go give you a boost. Then we will play you. Okay, that's a little bit unfortunate that we draw into Ciri, but so be it. Then we should destroy Sucrus here. Then we'll replay you. I'm gonna see if we can get up to Sabbath here. Probably are already at Sabbath, to be honest, in the melee row. Yeah. Alright, they're gonna go Leader ability on Scratch-a-Lot. That's not a bad play, but I do like that we don't need to worry about Enslave that much anymore unless they have a way to get it back. Valibor, not a lot of setup for him. Just the one bit of damage. Okay, but that was, I mean, a lot of that came down to Leader ability, but very high tempo there. So, speaking of high tempo, if Regis lives long enough to use this order ability on Fion, it is humongous. Otherwise, Ceres is safer. It's not a bad play. We do have a Shieldmaiden, although we don't really have a way to damage the Shieldmaiden we'd get out here, so that's still not all that reliable. Rafford's Vengeance, unlikely to have the bronze card to set that up. I think we have to try Regis, right? I think we have to at least give this a shot. Alright, it's Yurden, which they use on themselves. Oh, I saw them thinking about it, and I was wondering. They saw the Regis, and I think they took a little while to take that turn, and they were debating. Do they let us steal the huge boost and get all those points for ourselves? Or do they weaken themselves just so that we can't take all those points, and we can still steal the boost from Scratch-a-Lot, so it's still not bad. And now they are still in the lead, but not by much. And Artis is interesting. We do have some Cultists in our starting deck. Yes, we could use that to bring out the either Fanatic or the Berserker, and it would make it difficult for them to catch us. So I am intrigued by that option. Obviously, Tibor is also quite good. Oberon also quite good, although we don't have Devotion, so if we get that 7-point Wild Hunt guy that I always seem to get with Oberon when I don't have Devotion, then that could be a problem, the one that destroys itself if we don't have the Devotion. Alright, so we do this. You transform, we will steal Scratch-a-Lot's boost, and now we are in the lead, and it is going to be difficult for them to catch us because Artis means that every subsequent card is now worth much less. Quartermaster's not a bad play, though. Oh, and it actually works really well with the Immortals as well. But Scratch-a-Lot still gets hit. So they've now played one more card than us, and we are in the lead by 1 point. And there's no way they're automatically generating points, right? They can get more from Scratch-a-Lot, but they'll have to use his order ability. So I think we pass here and force them to either let us win this round a card up, or they will more likely have to go 2 cards down to win the round, which they'll do with Ice Giant. So they do win round 1, but that gives us a big long-term advantage. Alright, now I'd like to try to keep some special cards and artifacts in our deck in case we do happen to get Golden Nekker out, which I suppose we do still have. At least special cards. That might be our last. No, we still have 1 artifact as well. Okay, so don't need to be too concerned about that. In which case, why don't we try putting Shieldmaiden back into our deck? As we saw with Saris, there's a chance might get value long-term from that. We must keep Morkvarg in our deck, though, I think. That is usually a case to be made for using leader ability in Morkvarg in round 1, but because they had the defender for much of the round, and then after a bit we were already doing pretty well and didn't seem to need our leader ability, we turned out to be fine without it. But again, just need to be a little bit careful with that, because you might find yourself drawing into the cards that you would like to use for that leader ability, and we bricked Jutta in round 1 anyway. Why don't we win with a 1-point Catwitcher Mentor? Unless there's anything that actually gives us long-term value, in which case we should probably do that. Not really. So, yeah, why not? We had a bunch of low provision cost cards to begin the round, but now they are evolving, and by the time round 3 begins, they should be actually in a very good spot. Okay, and we do draw into the Vial of Forbidden Knowledge, which I believe we just established is our only artifact we have left in our deck, so we should put that back. And now, let's not risk using that last mulligan, because we could accidentally get Morkvarg, and that would not be good news. Alright, let's see here. So, I'm eyeing Osrel. What options do we have there? 7 on our side. Nothing better, so that means Osrel's an 8. It's not amazing. Unfortunately, a bunch of stuff that would have been better just slightly later in the round, but don't really have the board condition to use them here, so I think it probably is Osrel. We said it's their graveyard that's better? Yeah. Okay. Is there a reason to suspect... I guess, Ice Giant's more likely for them to get that back out. Okay, Dire Mutated Hound. We would like to hit that so that it does not have the armor anymore and it is no longer an engine at that point, so this might be the turn where we use Blaze of Glory. Otherwise... yeah... we haven't had anything go into our graveyard this round of the Skellige variety. Otherwise, Nekker is probably best just for the boost, but that's still not great. This is going to become pretty huge. That's 2 points per turn. So I think we really do use leader ability here. I guess it's not mutually exclusive. We could do that as well. I mean, at the moment, we would have the highest card on our side of the board, so Caldwell does work, but that is, of course, quite risky. So I think we'll keep it simple here. We'll go that route. We will go leader ability. We'll use it to get Morkvarg out, get rid of the armor, get Morkvarg back on the board, and we'll boost. Don't want them to be the same number, but get Morkvarg up there. Alright, Siggy. Oh, and it gave them profit. Yes, they actually could boost or re-armor the Dire Mutated Hound, so it is once again an engine. We do not have the tactics for you. We can almost destroy you, and at the very least, once again, get rid of that armor, so you are no longer a 2-point per turn engine, so I think that is probably still the answer. Nothing big enough for Geralt. Yeah, no tactics versus Vaughn. Fugo, I mean, is okay. Xavier, no armor on him unless we get a future... a dwarf. Oh, we could actually Donar, which is technically slightly better, isn't it? Compared to the sword here. I think we actually do that then. So we don't need to destroy you, or, I mean, we would have dropped it down to 1 power. We just need to get rid of the armor. Well, and then we could return the favor. Okay, it's Okfist. That'll deal some damage, sure. And... is that the highest base power? It actually might be. That's 1. That's 5. That's 5. That's 5. Okay. So we actually could Glorious Hunt to get rid of a 6-power unit that is about to deal 4 damage, so that's a 10-point play. Otherwise, Jacques, assuming we use the ability, is also a 10-point play. Dire Mutated Hound is a little more uncertain, There's enough time left in the round that if it does not get damaged and lose its armor, it would be the biggest of all these plays, but it's the highest risk. So maybe, I think the tiebreaker here is probably going to be the provision cost. If we don't play Jacques, he's going to a 13 provision cost card, and that could be an issue. So I think we do play Jacques here. It does, for what it's worth, it does mean now that because we're getting more units on the board, Ocfist is bigger, so technically it was worth fewer points for that reason, but it still was the least likely to turn into a brick. And Gerard's not bad. He's quite good, in fact. Oh, they're going to wait on Ocfist. That's greedy. But the value does get bigger, potentially. Let's see, speaking of which, Roach Merciless might be the best play here, but it does add even more cards to our side of the board, making Ocfist even bigger. Don't have enough coins for Savola to work Archgriffin with no prior setup is basically useless. It's mostly a question of Falibor versus Roach Merciless. You're a 12, you're an 11. It might have to be Roach for that reason. And I think we continue to try to whittle away at Ocfist. Okay, it's Caranthir. Can they actually make a copy of something with him? No, they cannot. Okay, good, good. They still wait with Ocfist. Okay. We can use Roach here. I'm wondering if Hoakim may be the play. I mean, who knows what we will get out of it. Otherwise, Avalok, we do have one artifact, right? But it's an 8-point artifact. It's actually not terrible. Well, it's 8 if we have enough time for it to get all the vitality, which is not quite the case, so it's probably more like 6 or 7. Portal, does that have enough time? It actually does, doesn't it? So that might be the best option, to tell you the truth. Again, it means more units, though. Might get out something like Seagull or Harpooner, both of which would be pretty bad, but if it gets out the Invader, the Adept, then it'd be pretty good, so I think we go Hoakim here. I think that's the safest option. Okay, not terrible. I mean, obviously it's a big point slam. I think we will still do this, because I don't want Roach to get locked or destroyed before we get to use the order. That's the risk they're taking with Ocfist here, but we've not yet been able to remove it altogether. So their patience, thus far at least, is paying off. Okay, they'll get a little bit more damage with the Hunter. Looks like they might use Ocfist. No. Okay, I don't love these two lined up on the same number. Fortunately, 25 is the new Igni threshold, right? So it's still unigniable, and then it could Igni that 12-point unit there, though. This is unfortunate. Both of these are bricks. You're a 13, you're an 11. I think we play Saskia. She's also worth 1 more point. Yeah, for both of them, we won't get the extra ability kicking in here. So I think we just use you, because otherwise you're going to turn to a scenario in all likelihood. Also, you do boost up Peasant Militia. Oh, and that's a nice finisher. Alright, it's Meditating Mage, so that's not big. It's mostly a matter of Ocfist, which is not big enough. Obviously, we have Gesros, but we do not need to use it here. We already have taken the win. Alright, so going up against Northern Realms here. And they'll go first. Alright, so let's see. We have a few cards we'd like to keep in our deck if we can. Ciri Nova among them. Okay, and then Dire Bear and Jutta. This, if we happen to get a tutor, this is a target for our leader ability. If we brick Jutta, we could still use our leader ability on Morkvarg, so it's not absolutely the end of the world, but I think we'll still try getting rid of her. Alright, they start with a trap, which is interesting. I think we might just go for something small here and try to bait that out. I doubt it would ever hit and not kill Queensguard, right? Everything that would hit Queensguard would kill her. Unless it's the one that deals 2 damage to everything in a row, in which case that might eventually hit her, but that's not a huge deal to play around that in that case. Go with the Antharian. Okay, I think this is going to be the one that destroys our highest unit when we play a special, or our lowest unit if they activate it manually. They're going leader ability here. Let's see, do they have extra cards in their starting deck? Not really. So, I mean, they might be trying to use our land, but if so, it's not as if they are absolutely all in on that. I imagine this is probably Radovid? Yeah. Get the leader ability charges back. Okay, both Best Boy and Roach coming out there. And we have several options for Scoia'tael cards, and that'll trigger this Harmony. We could put the Harmony on them as well. Otherwise, I mean, we could put Harmony on Cohen, which is, I guess, a way to get him boosted. Not usually the way you would do that, but it is technically an option. Oh, it'd be great to destroy Radovid here. If we were to use our leader ability on Morkvarg, we're 1 damage shy. We could do it on Jutta, and then it's serious overkill. Do we have anything else that can damage him slightly more? Not really. Not really. Okay. I think we'll do Polly, move you. We'll give you that. Then we will go leader ability, and we'll just use it on Jutta. Overkill with the damage. So Morkvarg would have gotten us 5 points on the board, but obviously it wouldn't have been enough to destroy Radovid, and wanted to do that so that they don't get 1 more leader ability charge. Because when it comes to pincer maneuver decks, the more charges they have, the much stronger they become, because they presumably have designed their deck to have very specific cards that they're trying to get out. Herald. Okay. Alright, we can move Herald into this row and make it extremely crowded. The Usurper is interesting because he's the highest provision card here by quite some margin, I think. Which means if we don't play him, he's very likely to turn into a brick. On the other hand, we have a rare opportunity to play an Assimilate card, which is a pretty darn reliable way to get at least 1 point per turn. So I think we might still go that route, and it's early enough in the round that even if you do brick, we have enough time to either play other things, and probably just play other things and let you flip back over to 4 provision cost card and still have even more time to, let's go for you. To have you turn into something that is, once again, workable. Alright, let's move one of our cards. Sure. Oh no, no, that deploy is move. That's, armor. Okay, fair enough. Alright, it's Gezros. That's huge, obviously. But it is too early for his adrenaline to kick in, fortunately for us. Could give them a whole lot of points on Gezros. No, that's not what we want to do. I still think if we play a special here, then we are going to destroy our highest card, which is not terrible, but we would like to avoid that. Cyprian, we could use to banish Best Boy, which is an 8-point play, which actually might be the best here. So Emir is now the high provision card that we have, and this is what we risked, that we'd get a high provision cost card that we can't really get much value out of. So that means that, I mean, yes, we could get spying on future cards, that's about it, though. And there's no way to guarantee that's going to give us any serious value, so I think we just do this. Okay, Crimson Curse. Now, our range row is definitely not bad. Now we do have some more interesting options here. Because, I mean, Yenvo on Gezros is really tempting, yes. However, that would almost certainly trigger, again, what I suspect is going to destroy our highest card when we play a special. Otherwise, it's going to boost their cards when we pass. Those are really the only 2 options it could possibly be at this point. We are definitely going to let Getty Neath brick at this point. Roach could maybe give us something big. The other big thing is Moral, which we could either use to immediately remove Herald, or if we take 1 more turn to get the order on, we could use it to remove Gezros. Obviously, that's slower and runs the risk of him getting answered, but maybe that is worth considering. Cosimo, if we... I mean, we could put him right here and get potentially decent value out of that, but I think we'll go Moral. Oh, right, he needs to go melee. My bad. And we will go for Gezros. Alright, they're going for another leader ability charge here. Ah, it's Melitele. Okay. Okay. So yes, getting rid of the Radovid earlier to reduce the number of leader ability charges. Oh, but hold on, that's the last of their leader ability charges. Yes, it's for Melitele, which does make sense, but it is odd that they are willing to burn through all those charges in round 1. War Elephant, okay. didn't quite get the crew. Let's see here. So this is the obvious option here. Then we could use Geralt Quen. We still have Ciri Nova in our deck, don't we? Okay, I think that is probably the play then. Case could be made for Ciri Dash. That's a little bit riskier because there is technically enough time to use her if the round goes just about the full length, but that is something that may not end up happening. So let's do this. We'll actually put you in this row because you have a shield, and you will have a shield and Vial. And that is resilience as well, so that is very useful. Alright, it's Dandelion. Renfree? Oh. That's not good news. And it spawned base copy of one of our units. They will not get the Ciri Nova value out of that, for what it's worth. Okay, and I think there's a very obvious play here. Yes, there is Geralt Professional, but you are not on a multiple of 3, which means Scorch is our way to just completely remove you. So I think that is very clearly what we need to do here. Oh, okay. I admittedly totally forgot about this. We've now confirmed that this is definitely going to boost them at the end of the round. Okay, Blood Eagle. They can get the death blow. That's exactly what they'll do. For Sove. Where did he come from? They were Northern Realms originally. They must have used one of their mulligans to put him back into their deck. That was very well done in that case. So, however, here's the thing. Yes, they are winning round 1. But, because we have a resilience unit on the board and they've played one more card than us, if we were to pass here, that would put them in a really tricky spot in round 2 where either they try to bleed us when we have an 8-point advantage with Ciri, or they just dry pass. We don't have to play anything because we have the carryover from Ciri, which means that we can have card advantage going into round 3. So I think we probably just go for that. I mean, this also is somewhat influenced by how we don't have great options at the moment. Okay, there is the boost. Again, we suspected once we played the special that that was going to be the case. In fact, it was the only possible option. Would have been great to have a She Who Knows as well, I suppose. Alright, nothing urgent in our hand that we need to mulligan here, so I say we put She Who Knows back into our deck, and we just wait and see if we get a tutor to get her out later. And then I think we settle for this. Beauclair is a little risky. If they do try to push, this is going to turn into a 14, which will probably be a scenario which would be hard for us to get much value out of, but we still have the Ratcat's Rest will turn into an 8, and then a bunch of other stuff that'll be in the 5 range, so there's some case to be made for them trying to push here, but obviously we have that 8-point advantage, so we're feeling okay for that reason. And we could even mulligan further, to tell you the truth. Okay. Because we don't really have anything that could brick. And they are very clearly playing. Yes, they tried to make a copy of Ciri, but they don't get the resilience. They do use Yenvo to steal our Ciri, so it's just an 8-point body. I forget if Yen can activate on herself. I feel like she cannot, so she's the only unit on the board, and that is not a great idea, which is actually very unfortunate, because that means, I mean, this would be our highest potential point-scoring option, but she just doesn't activate on herself, then she's a 3, in which case she's our worst option here, besides Armor's Workshop. So as much as it pains me, I think we need to just go for either Rot Fiend or the Payday, which means we will not catch them pacing-wise, so we would be on even cards here in round 3. They probably should pass. No, okay, this is incredibly greedy, but they got a Renfree, so you know what? I can't blame them. Alright, what was this one? Spawn Stratagem. And the long-term boosty one. And as we were saying, our hand was not great for if they were going to try to bleed us. And our highest provision card is this Archgriffin, so for that to turn to something that is terrible when it is not preemptively set up is not good news for us. And reset Renfree. That is, it's not terribly effective at the moment. We might be looking at a Bountiful Harvest and praying that this turns into something decent, because although the The hand buff is going to get reset whenever these cards transform. It's still, I think, better than anything else we have here. They do not have a unit that is the only thing in its row. Verify an allied unit. That's also pretty meaningless. So, yeah. Turned out to be, I think, just about the same value we would have gotten from anything else. Or, I guess, technically, Archgriffin would have been more, but that was our highest provision card, so we didn't really want to play that, because we ran the risk of, well, not having anything good like Olaf here. Obviously would not have had him. Okay, now they're playing Melitele. Now, I really wish we had Peter at this point. Okay, so Olaf is very clearly the highest points card we have here. Otherwise, it's Gerd, which is 7. You're actually 8, right? Yeah. I think at this point, if we don't play Olaf, we're going to have a 9 there, an 8 there, an 8 there. I think we can afford to use Olaf on this occasion. Okay, they do pass, and goodness gracious does the game hate us, because wow, that is hard to have worse cards than this. 0 points. 0 points. And I'm pretty sure that is a solid 3 right there. The probability of something like that happening to that extent is kind of absurd. Alright, well now we can pass them with living armor, but that is incredibly painful. That is going to be hard to come back from. Now we are going to be 1 card down for round 3. Alright, and Golden Nekker really is the thing that could save us here, if we find a way to tutor this out, but if we keep it in hand, then it's going to transform, so I think we do need to dump that. She Who Knows would have been great in the previous round. That would have been much better than the terrible cards that they forced us to play. Okay. So, I think it has to be Philivandrel. It is the highest provision card here at 12, and if we don't play him, then it's going to turn to 13, and that, I mean, it could be a tutor in that case for Golden Nekker, which I guess there is something to be said for that. But that is, you know, it basically could be Oneiromancy. Do we bet absolutely everything on Philivandrel turning into Oneiromancy, or do we settle for what is still a decent 12 provision cost card? I think we probably have to settle for him. I think we probably settle for him. And then we're going to have to go Tempering, because they don't have anything on the board right now. So, 9-point play is an amazing no, but it was the safe option. Oh, Arcane Tome, though. Arcane Tome, though. Okay, here's what we do. Arcane Tome, I mean, it is going to give them access to it on their next turn, but we're going to assume that they cannot match the power of Golden Nekker, so this is still going to be a trade that we are very much willing to make. So we do this, we get Golden Nekker out. And still some RNG to be had here. Not great value from you, especially because we are about to hit Onsace anyway. But is that enough of a difference maker? Onsace now, of course, way weaker than he was before. Oh, well, technically he's 4 damage. He doesn't even try to duel when he's below his starting power. Okay, Mandrake. Oh, to reset Onsace is not a bad option. They don't choose to use the Arcane Tome, which is probably a good thing, because I think we are out of specials, so that actually worked pretty well for us. Best option here is Walter Veritas. Don't know what we're going to get for the Syndicate card, but Ellerin is just a 5-point body and not much else. Okay, what do we have here? We can poison or bleed. Can damage here. You're up to 4. I think it's got to be bloody good fun then. That is the outright removal, which means we're denying the order ability on Onsace, which I think is worth doing. Okay, Ragnarug is not thrilled about that, but it's not terrible. It's, of course, ideally more of a long-term card, but should at least have time to get, I think, 6 points worth of value on destroying Roland. Obviously, they're not going to play anything else in that range row now, but now this is the question. With 2 cards, why would you play that there? I don't know. I think we might have this. In fact, we do. Wow. I cannot believe it. So there's a look at the Skellige Blaze of Glory deck for the new Patience is a Virtue seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions we should experiment with next. And take a look at our Patience is a Virtue playlist to see other decks that we've used in this event as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.